Turned around, he saw me and stopped. His face did something complicated. "So you do remember me," he said. "I don't, actually. That's why I'm standing here." He looked thrown off. "Come on. I genuinely don't know who you are. I don't know what note you're talking about, and I need you to explain it to me before I go to HR and hand them a piece of paper with your handwriting on it." That landed. He set his coffee down. "Wait," he said slowly. "You really don't remember? I dropped out after one semester. I doubt we overlapped." His face shifted from threatening to something closer to mortified. "What school did you go to?" "Cascade Valley. One semester. Fall of 2011. He went quiet for a second. "I went to Whitmore, in Ohio." We stared at each other. "Then you have the wrong person," I said. "But you look exactly..." He stopped. He pulled out his phone, scrolled for a moment, and held up a photo. A group of college kids at some kind of outdoor party, arms around each other. He pointed to a woman in the back row. She had my face. Genuinely. Same jaw, same eyes, same dark hair cut at the same angle mine was in my 20s. "That's my ex," he said. "She ghosted me junior year. Completely vanished. I thought, when I saw you in the orientation packet, I thought she'd changed her name, and that's not me. I know that now." We stood there in the brutal silence of two people who had both handled something terribly. "I'm sorry," he said. I panicked. I shouldn't have done that. I should have just asked you directly instead of writing an anonymous note like a middle schooler." He winced. "Yeah." I picked up my coffee. "What happened with her?" "Your ex." He shrugged, and for a second he looked less like a coworker trying to intimidate me and more like someone who'd been carrying something heavy for a long time. "I don't know. She was fine and then she wasn't. And then she was just gone. Never got a reason." "You should let that go." "I know." I walked back to my desk. He didn't bother me again after that. By the end of the week, we were nodding at each other in the hallway like normal adults. By the second month, we were on the same account team, and he turned out to be the most organized person I'd ever worked with. He never found out what happened to her, but he stopped looking. Sometimes people mistake you for a ghost they're still chasing. It's not about you at all. At my first team meeting, when I picked up my toddler from daycare, 3 different teachers said goodbye to him. The daycare only employs 2 teachers. My son Eli is 2.5, which means he'll say goodbye to a fire hydrant if you let him. He waves at strangers in grocery stores and blows kisses to dogs through car windows. So when Miss Dana said bye-bye at the front desk and Miss Petra said see you tomorrow from the reading corner, I didn't think twice. Eli waved back like a tiny politician and grabbed my hand. Then a woman I had never seen in my life stepped out from the back hallway, crouched down to his level and said, "Bye, Eli. See you Monday, okay?" He grinned and said, "Bye-bye." I smiled at her automatically, the way you do. She stood up, made brief eye contact with me, and turned back down the hallway before I could say anything. I buckled Eli into his car seat. "Who was that lady, buddy?" "Miss Carey," he said, like it was nothing, and reached for his juice cup. I sat there in the parking lot with the engine off, trying to remember if Miss Carey had ever been mentioned in an email, a newsletter, a parent orientation packet, anything. She hadn't. Sunny Skies Daycare employed 2 teachers, Miss Dana, who'd been there 12 years, and Miss Petra, who started in January. There was no Miss Carey on the staff page of their website. I checked it 2 weeks ago when I was filling out Eli's allergy form. I told myself it was probably a substitute, or a new hire they hadn't updated the site for yet. I told myself that for about 4 minutes. Then I went back inside. Miss Dana was at the front desk sorting cubbies. The woman who just said goodbye to Eli in the hallway. Is she a new staff member? I don't think I've met her. Miss Dana looked up. "What woman?" "Tall, dark hair, maybe 30. She came out of the back hallway." Miss Dana was quiet for a second. "The back hallway leads to the storage room and the bathroom. It's staff only." She looked at me carefully. "I don't know who you're describing. Miss Petra is the only other person here today. She's packing up the art supplies right now." I felt my stomach drop in that specific way it does when something you were hoping had a normal explanation clearly does not. "She knew his name," I said. "She called him Eli and said see you Monday." Miss Dana came around the desk very quickly. She walked the whole hallway, checked the bathroom, checked the storage room. Nothing. The back exit was a heavy fire door that locked from the outside. It hadn't been propped open. She came back looking calm in the way that people look calm when they're trying not to make a parent panic in the lobby. "I'm gonna call the director," she said. I went and sat in my car with Eli and called my husband. While I was on the phone, I pulled up Eli's daycare app, the one that logs every nap, every snack, every diaper change with a timestamp. There's a feature I'd never actually used, a contact log. Every adult who signs a child in or out gets recorded. I scrolled back 3 months. For the last 6 weeks, every Monday and Wednesday, someone had signed Eli in. Not my husband, not me. The name in the log was C. Harmon. My husband and I have never authorized anyone named Harmon to pick up or drop off our son. I didn't scream. I'm not sure why. I just sat very still and read the name 4 more times. The director, a woman named Gail, called me back within 10 minutes. She was already pulling records when I told her about the log. Her voice got very controlled and quiet. That particular tone that means someone is trying to stay professional over something that is making them want to combust. C. Harmon had been signing Eli in on mornings when I dropped him off in the afternoon. She wasn't picking him up. She was dropping him off early. Extra hours. Hours I hadn't scheduled or paid for. Someone had been bringing my son to daycare, spending the morning with him and leaving before I arrived. We called the police. They pulled the external camera footage. In 6 weeks of recordings, a woman walked Eli through the front door on 12 separate mornings, chatted with the teachers like she belonged there, and left around noon each time. She wore the same gray jacket in almost every clip. She held his hand. She knew which cubby was his. She helped him with his backpack. Eli, when I showed him a still from the footage on the detective's tablet, pointed immediately and said, "Miss Carey." The detective asked him if he liked Miss Carey. He thought about it with that serious toddler face and said, "She gives me crackers." C. Harmon turned out to be Carol Harmon, my ex-husband's sister. I was briefly married at 22, annulled after 14 months. No kids. I hadn't spoken to anyone from that family in 7 years. His sister had found me through Eli's public Instagram, tracked which daycare was tagged in location posts, and spent her mornings with my son like she had every right to in the world. She was charged. Sunny Skies now has security measures that didn't exist before, and I've made Eli's Instagram private. When I picked up my toddler from daycare, 3 different teachers said goodbye to him. The daycare only employs 2 teachers. My son Eli is 2.5, which means he'll say goodbye to a fire hydrant if you let him. He waves at strangers in grocery stores and blows kisses to dogs through car windows. So when Miss Dana said bye-bye at the front desk and Miss Petra said see you tomorrow from the reading corner, I didn't think twice. Eli waved back like a tiny politician and grabbed my hand. Then a woman I had never seen in my life stepped out from the back hallway, crouched down to his level and said, "Bye, Eli. See you Monday, okay?" He grinned and said, "Bye-bye." I smiled at her automatically.
He traded a red paperclip for a pen in the shape of a fish. and this was later exchanged for a custom doorknob. Next, he traded for a camp stove, and then a generator, and the generator was traded for a keg party. From there, he got a snowmobile, which he traded for a trip across Canada. He swapped the trip for a van, and exchanged the van for a recording contract, which he swapped for a 1-year condo rental. He turned that into a day spent with Alice Cooper, then a Kiss snow globe. He traded the snow globe to a movie director who promised him a part in a movie. Now, people all over the world followed his story, waiting to see what he would trade next. And exactly 1 year after he started, he exchanged his movie role for a house, famously turning one red paperclip into a home. He traded a red paperclip for a pen in the shape of a fish, and this was later.
Does anybody know this man? We got a Gurneet Singh. Tap in Instagram, help me find him.
He traded a red paperclip for a pen in the shape of a fish, and this was later exchanged for a custom doorknob. Next, he traded for a camp stove, and then a generator, and the generator Cooper, then a Kiss snow globe. He traded the snow globe to a movie director who promised him a part in a.
Does anybody know?
He traded a red paperclip.
Does anybody know this man? We got a Gurneet Singh. Tap in Instagram, help me find him. Does anybody know this man? We got a Gurneet Singh. Tap in Instagram, help me find him.